The 1987 Constitution of the Republic of the Philippines. Article 1. National Territory. The national territory comprises the Philippine archipelago, with all the islands and waters embraced therein, and all other territories over which the Philippines has sovereignty or jurisdiction, consisting of its terrestrial, fluvial, and aerial domains, including its territorial sea, the seabed, the subsoil, the insular shelves, and other submarine areas, the waters around, between, and connecting the islands of the archipelago, regardless of their breadth and dimensions, form part of the internal waters of the Philippines. Article 2. Declaration of Principles and State Policies Principles. Section 1. The Philippines is a democratic and republican state. Sovereignty resides in the people, and all government authority emanates from them. Section 2. The Philippines renounces war as an instrument of national policy, adopts the generally accepted principles of international law as part of the law of the land, and adheres to the policy of peace, equality, justice, freedom, cooperation, and amity with all nations. Section 3. Civilian authority is, at all times, supreme over the military. The armed forces of the Philippines is the protector of the people and the state. Its goal is to secure the sovereignty of the state and the integrity of the national territory. Section 4. The prime duty of the government is to serve and protect the people. The government may call upon the people to defend the state, and in the fulfillment thereof, all citizens may be required under conditions provided by law to render personal, military, or civil service. Section 5. The maintenance of peace and order, the protection of life, liberty, and property, and promotion of the general welfare are essential for the enjoyment by all the people of the blessings of democracy. Section 6. The separation of church and state shall be inviolable. Section 7. The state shall pursue an independent foreign policy in its relations with other states. The paramount consideration shall be national sovereignty, territorial integrity, national interest, and the right to self-determination. Section 8. The Philippines, consistent with the national interest, adopts and pursues a policy of freedom from nuclear weapons in its territory. Section 9. The state shall promote a just and dynamic social order that will ensure the prosperity and independence of the nation and free the people from poverty through policies that provide adequate social services, promote full employment, a rise standard of living, and an improved quality of life for all. Section 10. The state shall promote social justice in all phases of national development. Section 11. The state values the dignity of every human person and guarantees full respect for human rights. Section 12. The state recognizes the sanctity of family life and shall protect and strengthen the family as a basic autonomous social institution. It shall equally protect the life of the mother and the life of the unborn from conception. The national and primary right and duty of parents in the rearing of the youth for civic efficiency and development of moral character shall receive the support of the government. Section 13. The state recognizes the vital role of the youth in nation building and shall promote and protect their physical, moral, spiritual, intellectual, and social well being. It shall inculcate in the youth patriotism and nationalism and encourage their involvement in public and civic affairs. Section 14. The state recognizes the role of women in nation building and shall ensure the fundamental equality before the law of women and men. 15. The state shall protect and promote the right to health of the people and instill health consciousness among them. 16. The state shall protect and advance the right of the people to a balanced and helpful ecology in accord with the rhythm and harmony of nature. Section 17. The state shall give priority to education, science and technology, arts, culture and sports to foster patriotism and nationalism, accelerate social progress, and promote total human liberation and development. 23. The state shall encourage non-governmental, community-based, or sectoral organizations that promote the welfare of the nation. 24. The state recognizes the vital role of communication and information in nation building. 25. The state shall ensure the autonomy of local governments. 26. The state shall guarantee equal access to opportunities of public service and prohibit political dynasties as may be defined by law. Section 27. The state shall maintain honest and integrity in the public service and take positive and effective measures against graft and corruption. 28. Subject to reasonable conditions prescribed by law, the state adopts and implements a policy of full public disclosure of all its transactions involving public interest. Section 13. Wait lang. Okay. So, this is a... Next, the Bill of Rights. No person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor shall any person be denied the equal protection of the laws. Section 2. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures of whatever nature and for any purpose shall be inviolable, and no search warrant or warrant of arrest shall issue except upon probable cause to be determined personally by the judge after examination under oath or affirmation of the complainant and the witnesses he may produce, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized. Section 3. The privacy of communication and correspondence shall be inviolable except upon lawful order of the court, or when public safety or order requires otherwise as prescribed by law. Number 2. Any evidence obtained in violation of this or the preceding section shall be inadmissible for any purpose in any proceeding. Section 4. No law shall be passed abridging the freedom of speech, of expression, or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and petition the government for redress of grievances. Section 5. No law shall be made respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof. The free exercise and enjoyment of religious profession and worship without discrimination or preference shall forever be allowed. No religious test shall be required for the exercise of civil or political rights. Section 6. The liberty of abode and of changing the same within the limits prescribed by law shall not be impaired except upon lawful order of the court. Neither shall the right to travel be impaired except in the interest of national security, public safety, or public health as may be provided by law. Section 7. The right of the people to information on matters of public concern shall be recognized. Access to official records and to documents and papers pertaining to official acts, transactions, or decisions, as well as to government research data used as basis for policy development shall be afforded in citizens subject to such limitations as may be provided by law. Section 8. The right of the people, including those employed in the public and private sectors, to form unions, associations, or societies for purposes not contrary to law shall not be abridged. Section 9. Private property shall not be taken for public use without just compensation. Section 10. No law impairing the obligation of contracts shall be passed. Section 11. Free access to the courts and quasi-judicial bodies and adequate legal assistance shall not be denied to any person by reason of poverty. Section 12. Any person under investigation of the commission of an offense shall have the right to be informed of his right to remain silent and to have competent and independent counsel, preferably of his own choice. If the person cannot afford the services of counsel, he must be provided with one. These rights cannot be waived except in writing and in the presence of counsel. No torture, force, violence, threat, intimidation, or any other means which vitiate the free will shall be used against him. Secret detention, places, solitary incommunicado, or other similar forms of detention are prohibited. Any confession or admission obtained in violation of this or Section 17 hereof shall be inadmissible. The law shall provide for penal and civil sanctions for violations of this section, as well as compensation to the rehabilitation of victims of torture or similar practices and their families. Section 13. All persons except those charged with offenses punishable by reclusion perpetua when evidence of guilt is strong shall before conviction be bailable by sufficient sureties or be released on recognizance as may be provided by law. The right to bail shall not be impaired even when the privilege of the writ of habeas corpus is suspended. Excessive bail shall not required. Section 14. No person shall be held to answer for a criminal offense without due process of law. Section 13. All persons except those charged with offenses punishable by reclusion perpetua when evidence of guilt is strong shall before conviction be bailable by sufficient sureties or be released on recognizance as may be provided by law. The right to bail shall not be impaired even when the privilege of the writ of habeas corpus is suspended. Excessive bail shall not be required. Section 14. No person shall be held to answer for a criminal offense without due process of law. In all criminal prosecutions, the accused shall be presumed innocent until the contrary is proved, and shall enjoy the right to be heard by himself and counsel, to be informed of the nature and cause of the accusation against him, to have a speedy, impartial, and public trial, to meet the witnesses face to face, and to have compulsory process to secure the attendance of witnesses and the production of evidence in his behalf. However, after arraignment, trial may proceed notwithstanding the absence of the accused, provided that he has been duly notified and his failure to appear is unjustifiable. Section 15. A privilege of the writ of habeas corpus shall not be suspended except in cases of invasion or rebellion when the public safety requires it. All persons shall have the right to a speedy disposition of their cases before all judicial, quasi-judicial, or administrative bodies. No person shall be compelled to be a witness against himself. No person shall be detained solely by reason of his political beliefs and aspirations. No involuntary servitude in any form shall exist, except as a punishment for a crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted. All excessive fines shall not be imposed, nor cruel, degrading, or inhuman punishment inflicted. Neither shall death penalty be imposed unless for compelling reasons involving heinous crimes. The Congress hereafter provides for it. Any death penalty already imposed shall be reduced to reclusion perpetua. The employment of physical, psychological, or degrading punishment against any prisoner or detainee, or the use of substandard or inadequate penal facilities shall subhuman conditions shall be dealt with by law. No person shall be imprisoned for debt or non-payment of a poll tax. No person shall be twice put in jeopardy or punishment for the same offense. If an act is punished by a law and an ordinance, conviction or acquittal under either shall constitute a bar to another prosecution for the same act. No ex post facto law or bill of attainder shall be enacted. Article 4. Citizenship. The following are the citizens of the Philippines: those who are citizens of the Philippines at the time of the adoption of this Constitution, those whose fathers or mothers are citizens of the Philippines, those born before January 17, 1973 of Filipino mothers who elect Filipino citizenship upon reaching the age of majority, and those who are naturalized in accordance with law. Natural-born citizens are those who are citizens of the Philippines from birth without having to perform any act to acquire to perfect their Philippine citizenship. Those who elect Philippine citizenship in accordance with paragraph 3, section 1 hereof shall be deemed natural-born citizens. Philippine citizenship may be lost or required in the manner provided by law. Citizens of the Philippines who marry aliens shall retain their citizenship unless their act or omission they are deemed under the law to have renounced it. Dual allegiance of citizens is inimical to the national interest and shall be dealt with by law. Article 5. Suffrage. Suffrage may be exercised by all citizens of the Philippines not otherwise disqualified by law, who are at least 18 years of age and shall have resided in the Philippines for at least 1 year and in the place wherein they propose to vote at least 6 months immediately preceding the election. No literacy, property, or other substantive requirement shall be imposed to the exercise of suffrage. The Congress shall provide a system for securing the secrecy and sanctity of the ballot, as well as a system of absentee voting by qualified Filipinos abroad. The Congress shall also design a procedure for the disabled and the illiterates to vote without the assistance of other persons. Until then, they shall be allowed to vote under existing laws and such rules as the Commission on Elections may promulgate to protect the secrecy of the ballot. Article 6. The Legislative Department. The legislative power shall be vested in the Congress of the Philippines, which shall consist of a Senate and a House of Representatives, except to the extent reserved to the people by the provision on initiative and referendum. The Senate shall be composed of 24 senators who shall be elected at large by the qualified voters of the Philippines as may be provided by law. No person shall be a senator unless he is a natural-born citizen of the Philippines and on the day of the election is at least 35 years of age, able to read and write, a registered voter and a resident of the Philippines for not less than 2 years, immediately preceding the day of the election. The term of office of the senator shall be 6 years and shall commence unless otherwise provided by law. At noon on the 30th of June, next following their election, no senator shall serve for more than 2 consecutive terms. Voluntary renunciation of the office for any length of time shall not be considered as an interruption in the continuity of his service for the full term of which he was elected. The House of Representatives shall be composed of not more than 250 members unless otherwise fixed by law, who shall be elected from legislative districts apportioned among the provinces, cities, and the metropolitan Manila area in accordance with the number of the respective inhabitants, and on the basis of a uniform and progressive ratio, and those as provided by law shall be elected through a party list system of registered national, regional, and sectoral parties of organizations. The party list representatives shall constitute 20% of the total number of representatives, including those under the party list. For 3 consecutive terms after the ratification of this Constitution, 1/2 of the seats allocated to party list representatives shall be filled as provided by law by selection or election from the labor, peasant, urban, poor, indigenous, cultural communities, women, youth, and such other sectors as may be provided by law, except the religious sector. Each legislative district shall comprise as far as practicable, contiguous, compact, and adjacent territory. Each city with a population of at least 250,000 or each province shall have at least 1 representative. Within 3 years following the return of every census, the Congress shall make a reapportionment of legislative districts based on the standards provided in this section. No person shall be a member of the House of Representatives unless he is a natural-born citizen of the Philippines and on the day of the election is at least 25 years of age, able to read and write, and except the party list representatives, a registered voter in the district in which he shall be elected, a resident thereof for a period of not less than 1 year immediately preceding the day of election. The members of the House of Representatives shall be elected for a term of 3 years, which shall begin unless otherwise provided by law, at noon on the 30th of June next following their election. No member of the House of Representatives shall serve for more than 3 consecutive terms. Voluntary renunciation of the office of any length of time shall not be considered as an interruption in the continuity of his service for the full term for which he was elected. Unless otherwise provided by law, the regular election of the senators and the members of the House of Representatives shall be held on the second Monday of May. In cases of vacancy in the Senate or in the House of Representatives, a special election may be called to fill such vacancy in the manner prescribed by law. But the senator or member of the House of Representatives thus elected shall serve only for the unexpired term. The salaries of senators and members of the House of Representatives shall be determined by law. No increase in said compensation shall take effect until after the expiration of the full term of all the members of the Senate and members of House of Representatives approving such increase. A senator or member of the House of Representatives shall, in all offenses punishable by not more than 6 years imprisonment, be privileged from arrest while the Congress is in session. No member shall be questioned nor he be held liable in any other place for any speech or debate in the Congress or any committee thereof. All members of the Senate and the House of Representatives shall upon assumption of office, make a full disclosure of their financial and business interests. They shall notify the House concerned of a potential conflict of interest that may arise from the filing of a proposed legislation of which they are authors. No senator or member of the House of Representatives may hold any other office or employment in the government or any subdivision, agency, or instrumentality thereof, including government-owned or controlled corporations or their subsidiaries, during his term without forfeiting his seat. Neither shall he be appointed to any office which may have been created for the emoluments thereof increased during the term for which he was elected. The senator or member of the House of Representatives may personally appear as counsel before any court or justice or before the electoral tribunals or quasi-judicial and other administrative bodies shall he directly or indirectly be interested financially in any contract with or in any franchise or special privilege granted by the government or any subdivision, agency, or instrumentality thereof, including any government-owned or controlled corporation or its subsidiary, during his term of office. He shall not intervene in any matter before any office of the government for his pecuniary benefit or where he may be called upon the act on account of his office. The Congress shall convene once every year on the fourth Monday of July for its regular session, unless the different date is fixed by law, and shall continue to be in session for such number of days as it may determine until 30 days before the opening of its next regular session, exclusive of days as it may determine until 30 days before the opening of the next regular session, exclusive of Saturdays, Sundays, and legal holidays. The President may call a special session at any time. The Senate shall elect its President and the House of Representatives, its Speaker, by a majority vote at all respective members. Each House shall choose such other officers as it may deem necessary. A majority of each house shall constitute a quorum to do business, but a smaller number may adjourn from day to day and may compel the attendance of absent members in such manner, and such other penalties as such house may provide. Each house may determine the rules of its proceedings, punish its members for disorderly behavior, and with the concurrence or two-thirds of all its members, suspend or expel a member. A penalty of suspension when imposed shall not exceed 60 days. Each house may determine the rules of its proceedings, punish its members for disorderly behavior, and with the concurrence of two-thirds of all its members, suspend or expel a member. A penalty of suspension when imposed shall not exceed 60 days. Each house shall keep a journal of its proceeding and from time to time publish the same, excepting such parts as may in judgment affect national security, and the yes and nays on any question shall, at the request of one-fifth of the members present, be entered in the journal. Each house shall also keep a record of its proceedings. Neither house during the sessions of Congress shall, without the consent of the other, adjourn for more than 3 days, nor to any other place that in which the houses and shall be sitting. The Senate of the House of Representatives shall each have an electoral tribunal which shall be sole judge of all contests relating to election, returns, and qualifications of their respective members. Each electoral tribunal may be composed of members there Each electoral tribunal shall be composed of 9 members, 3 of whom shall be justices of the Supreme Court to be designated by the Chief Justice, and the remaining 6 shall be members of the Senate of the House of Representatives, as the case may be, who shall be chosen on the basis of proportional representation from the political parties and the parties on organizations registered under the party list system represented therein. The senior justice and electoral tribunal shall be its chairman. There shall be a commission on appointments consisting of the President of the Senate as ex officio chairman, while senators and 12 members of the House of Representatives shall be each house on the basis of proportional misrepresentation from the political parties and organizations under the party list system represented therein. The chairman of the commission shall not vote except in case of a tie. The commission shall act on the appointment submitted to it within 30 days of the Congress from their submission. The commission shall rule by a majority vote of all its members. The electoral tribunals and the commission on appointment shall be constituted with 30 days after the Senate and the House of Representatives shall have been organized with the election of the President and the Speaker. And commission on appointment shall meet only while Congress is in session, and at the call of the chairman, on majority of all its members, to discharge such powers and functions as are herein conferred upon it. The records and books of accounts of the Congress shall be preserved and be open to the public in accordance with law, and such books shall be audited by the Commission on Audit, which shall publish annually an itemized list of amounts paid to the expense for each member. The Senate or the House of Representatives or any of its respective committees may conduct inquiries in aid of legislation in accordance with its duly published rules of procedure. The rights of persons appearing in or affected by such inquiries shall be reflected. The heads of the departments may, upon their own initiative with the consent of the President, or upon the request of either House, as the rule of each house shall provide, appear before and be heard of such house or any matter pertaining to their departments. Written questions shall be submitted to the President of the Senate or the Speaker of the House of Representatives at least 3 days before their scheduled appearance. Interpellation shall not be limited to written questions, but may cover matters related thereto. When security of the state of the public interest so requires, and the President so states in writing, the appearance shall be conducted in executive session. The Congress shall, by a vote of 2/3 of both houses in joint session, assembled voting separately, shall have the sole power to declare the existence of a state war. In times of war or other national emergency, the Congress may by law authorize the President for a limited period and subject to restrictions as it may prescribe to exercise powers necessary and proper to carry out a declared national policy. Unless sooner withdrawn by resolution of the Congress, such power shall cease upon the next adjournment thereof. The procedure in approving appropriations for the Congress shall strictly follow the procedure for approving appropriations of other departments and agencies. A special appropriations bill shall specify the purpose for which it is intended and shall be supported by funds actually available as certified by the National Treasurer or to be raised by a corresponding revenue proposal therein. No law shall be passed authorizing any transfer of appropriations. However, the President of the Senate, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, and the heads of constitutional commissions may by law be authorized to augment any item in general appropriations law for the respective offices from saving in other items of their respective appropriations. Discretionary funds appropriated for particular official shall be disbursed only for public purposes to be supported by appropriate vouchers and subject to such guidelines as may be prescribed by law. If by end of any fiscal year the Congress shall have failed to pass the general appropriation bill for the ensuing fiscal year, the general appropriations law for the preceding fiscal year shall be deemed reenacted and shall remain in force and effect until the general appropriation bill is passed by the Congress. Every bill passed by the Congress shall embrace only one subject, which shall be expressed in the title thereof. No bill passed by either house shall become a law unless it has passed 3 readings on separate days and printed copies thereof in its final form have been distributed to its members 3 days before its passage, except when the President certifies to the necessity of its immediate enactment to meet a public calamity of emergency. Upon the last reading of a bill, no amendment thereto shall be allowed, and the vote thereon shall be taken immediately thereafter, and the yeas and nays entered in a journal. Every bill passed by the Congress shall, before it becomes a law, be presented to the President. If he approves the same, he shall sign it. Otherwise, he shall veto it, and return the same with his objections to the House where it originated, which shall enter the objections at large in its journal, and proceed to reconsider it. If, after such reconsideration, 2/3 of all the members of such House shall agree to pass the bill, it shall be sent together with the objections to the mother House, to the other House by which it shall likewise be reconsidered. And if approved by 2/3 of all the members of that House, it shall become a law. In all such cases, the votes of each House shall be determined by yeas or nays, and the names of the members voting for against shall be entered in its journal. The President shall communicate his veto of any bill to the House where it originated within 30 days after the date of receipt thereof. Otherwise, it shall become a law as if he had signed it. The President shall have the power to veto any particular item or items in an appropriation revenue, the tariff bill, but the veto shall not affect the item or items which he does not object. The rule on taxation shall be uniform and equitable. The Congress shall evolve a progressive system of taxation. The Congress may by law authorize the President to fill the specific limits and subject to such limitations and introductions as it may impose tariff rates, import and export, quotas, tonnage and wharfage dues, and other duties of post within the framework of the National Development Program of the government. Charitable institutions, churches, and personages or convents appurtenant thereto, like mosques, non-profit cemeteries, and all lands or buildings and improvement actually directly and exclusively used for religious, charitable, or educational purpose shall be exempt from taxation. No law granting any tax exemption shall be passed without the concurrence of the majority of all the members of the Congress. No money shall be paid out of treasury except in pursuance of an appropriation made by law. No public money or property shall be appropriated applied, paid, employed directly or indirectly for the use, benefit, or support of any sect, church, denomination, sectarian, or dignitary as such, except when such priest, preacher, minister, or dignitary is assigned by the armed forces or to any penal station or government orphanage for leprosarium. All money collected on any tax levied for special purpose shall be treated as a special fund and paid out for such purpose only. If the purpose of which a special fund was created has been fulfilled or abandoned, the balance of, if any, shall be transferred to the general funds of the government. Okay. No law shall be passed increasing the appellate jurisdiction of the Supreme Court as provided in Constitution without its advice and concurrence. No law granting a title of royalty, nobility, and shall be enacted. Congress shall, at this early possible, provide for a system of initiative and referendum and the exceptions therefrom, whereby the people can directly propose and enact laws or approve or reject any act or law, part thereof passed by the Congress or for legislative body after the registration of a petitioner, therefore signed by or at least must be 10% of the total number of registered voters, of which every legislative district must be represented by at least 3% of the registered voters thereof. Yan. So guys, thank you so much for being with me in my review session. So that ends up the legislative department.